All right. You said go live, and I did.
That is the best music. So, hey, you know what, Damon? You sit back. I got the intro. You, dude,
There we go.
I can relax.
I'm just gonna sit back like this and relax.
You just sit back and you just relax, man. I don't mean be bossy, but you just sit back and relax.
Just be the Zen master that you are, Damon.
Zen.
The
Okay,
master
so
Zen master.
hey, everybody, welcome. Happy Tuesday. And boy, are we thrilled. We are here at Faces of Business, the Faces of Business, I might add. And we have an amazing, incredible guest. I don't know how we landed this guest. So Nicole Donnelly, my co-hostess with the mostest. Happy Tuesday. How are you?
I have been looking forward to this all day long, Curt Anderson. We get to have Damon Pistulka in the hot seat. If you only knew what curveballs we were going to be throwing his way today.
It's going to get great. We've been practicing all day. Hey, Michelle's here. Guys, drop us a hello in the chat box. And again, if you haven't connected with this fine young man, Damon Pistulka, you absolutely want to connect with Damon. So, Damon, are you ready? Like
that's what my mom says.
I talked to your mom earlier today. I got a little dirt on you, so we're going to go there. Okay, are you ready?
Geez, there wouldn't be a little.
Well,
that's a truckload.
That's another story. Yeah, I got a hold of some of your high school friends, and that's
we're back at the train full.
All right. So, Damon, let's just go there. Let's just get this out of the way. So, Faces of Business. How many episodes? What number are we on here? Number 5,022.
I really don't count. I really don't count.
Okay.
I just know that there's more interesting people every day to talk with.
It's just a blessing, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Damon, Fridays and on Mondays, I only have one question that I ask. So I'm coming right at you, my friend. And I might know the answer. Who's your hero when you were growing up?
Well, I knew you were going to ask this. I kind of figured it.
I'm Captain Obvious, dude.
Yeah. It was really, I was fortunate. I grew up around my parents. I mean, around my parents and my grandparents. I mean, living on the farm, my grandparents, I saw my grandfather almost every day. He would come and have, eat lunch at the house and work at the farm. And so I saw my dad and my grandpa every day. And it was my mom too, but my dad and my grandpa, I spent more time with them. And, my grandpa taught me how to like disassemble a lawnmower engine and put it back together.
Man.
So he would bring me old lawnmowers. He'd say, "You can fix this? Can you fix this?" He'd bring them to me and say, "Oh yeah, I can fix it." We'd fix them.
Gosh.
At that age, you don't even remember because you go, "Oh, this piece and this piece fit together." Yeah. So you'd have 3 different motors and put it into one. And the darn thing would start. How the heck would you do that? So,
that's so funny. When I was a kid, I had the opposite. My dad was an entrepreneur, and he was the guy that was going to hire someone to do all that stuff. He didn't do it all himself. He was like the king of, all right, I'm in charge. You do this, you do that.
Yeah.
So I needed your grandfather. As a matter of fact, I need your grandfather right this minute because Nicole, my lawnmower just died over the weekend, and I am the same as your father. I am like, if I have a tool in my hand, like my wife is calling 911. Like, what are you doing with that screwdriver? Why are you touching that hammer? So like people panic if I have a tool. So Damon, let's dig into Grandpa first name.
Charlie.
Grandpa Charlie, and your father's name?
Dwayne.
Oh, you know what? I never knew that. My father's name is Dwayne.
Oh, yes.
How insane is that? I never knew that. So yeah. So
my uncle's name is Dwayne. Who knew?
Well, what a great name back in the 30s, 40s, whenever these guys were coming around. 40s, so all right. So I don't know about my dad's nickname is Dewey. They call him Screwy Dewey. So I don't know about if you're, but he was literally. But anyway, that's another story. So let's get into Grandpa Charlie. What was so wonderful about Grandpa Charlie? So taught you lawnmower, just spent a ton of time with you. Great influence. Let's take it a little bit further. Give us more details on Grandpa Charlie.
Well, my grandpa was an immigrant from Czechoslovakia. Nice. He came across when he was a baby and moved into the Dakotas where we grew up on the farm where I think his father was on the farm where we were at. So my dad was the 3rd generation on that farm. My brother was the 4th. And he had third grade education, you know, but he was one of the first guys around that my dad still talks, did still talk about it. You know, he went to the bank, got a loan, bought land, did all that stuff in the 20s and 30s. And
Wow.
yeah, and growing up, I was really, really fortunate. I mean, like I said, he taught me that stuff. He taught me woodworking. And he was always around. He was always around too.
Right. So he's present. Real quick, why the Dakotas? How did he land in the Dakotas?
Other family was there.
Other family.
Yeah.
Nicole, what you got?
Yeah.
My grandma, her parents, my great grandparents, they emigrated through Ellis Island from Slovakia.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? They settled in Montana.
Yeah.
How
Very cool.
funny. That's
Very
crazy.
cool.
My wife's but her descendants there's a lot of Czechoslovakian going on right here. So
Yeah.
David, let's get in. I want to slide over to mom. I want to talk about mom for a minute. Now, okay, you constantly, you always talk about like, hey, I'm the guy that grew up on a farm in South Dakota. So typically people, like maybe education isn't like top priority. Now, how about, I think your mom kind of defied that rule a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell Nicole about mom a little bit. Let's hear about Mrs. Pistulka.
Well, we grew up knowing we were going to college. And people would ask my mom, because we live in a small town right in the middle in South Dakota, and then people would say, well, why do you need to go to college? You guys are going to be here in farming. And my mom said, no, the kids are going to college. So my mom, after my sister's 10 years younger than I am, and my sister was just about ready to graduate high school, and my mom went back to college. She always wanted to finish college, and my dad was supporting her and said, yep, go ahead and go do it. Do what you want. Well, my mom ended up getting a degree in elementary education. Then she got a PhD or whatever you go, all the way to get a doctorate in elementary education, and ended up being a superintendent of teacher, superintendent of schools, then a principal of schools, or principal, then superintendent, however it works, of a school district, and did that she was in the education system for 20 years before she retired. And retired at 70. So yeah, I always laugh because I've only got one. I've got one degree, and I'm the only one in my family that's got one degree.
Why do you think she had such a, was her family well educated? Why did she want you to go to college so much? It was just, she thought that was the way.
That was the way.
Interesting.
That was the way.
That's very similar to Curt's mom. Curt's mom had a very similar kind of experience. She went back to school when he was older too.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, that was one thing that Damon and I have always, we just worship our mothers. We look up to them, and just, what an inspiration for later in life. And just, for your mom, and thank you, Nicole, for my mother, total hero to, like at any age under tough circumstances, and like they're, kids are grown out of the house, and now it's little me time, and I'm going to go pursue a doctorate. Isn't that just fascinating? She goes and gets a doctorate and just built this wonderful career after raising her children. So Damon, all right, let's go here. And Nicole, we're playing a little tennis match here. We're going to be going back and forth on questions, but let's get into a little bit of the origin story on Mr. Pistulka, since he does such an amazing job asking everybody else all the questions, right? Damon, you go off to college and you get into a little bit of engineering, and you pave your path towards manufacturing. Let's go there. Why engineering? Why manufacturing?
It was all an accident.
There's a cute girl in the class, right? Or I don't know. There was something. I'm just teasing, but
almost.
How did it happen?
Went to school. Didn't know any better, because I was literally the first one to go to college out of, I don't know. I don't think any of my aunts or uncles or anybody had anybody going to college. So I'm going to college, right? I got no idea what I'm doing. And I go talk to my counselor, and he says, oh, you should be in agricultural economics. That's what you need to do. And I did one semester of it, and I met a guy that actually in the dorm where I lived, and he was in engineering. I said, well, what's that about? That was all it took.
That's all it took.
I started taking, I was out of that. I was into engineering, and away you go. And it was really hard. It was really hard for me. I'm not a great student, right? I mean, I go back to school now. It's easier. I don't know what that is, but that's how I got into it. And then I fell into I didn't fall into manufacturing. There were, I think in my sophomore year or something, there were internships. People were talking about internships. I was like, what's this? So you go work at these companies. I said, you mean that means I don't have to go back and huck feed at the local feed store or work on the farm all summer? They said, yeah, you get paid for that. I said, I'm in. So I found myself an internship at a small electronics test equipment manufacturer in Sioux Falls there. And then that led into, when I went back to school, I actually got in my first company where I worked for a long time, Falcon Plastics. I had designed a part that was in plastic that they molded. And after a couple months into school, I got to go to work there, and I spent the next 12 years there.
Awesome. So now, if I'm not mistaken, you found your way to Tennessee of all places.
With them, yeah.
How did you end up in Tennessee?
Well, they wanted to build a new plant down there, and I had already redesigned or built 2 plants for them, and had I helped kind of supervise a few engineers, but I had no leadership experience whatsoever. And they said, well, we're going to build that plant down there. I said, hey, do you want me to run it? I was kind of joking. I was in my late 20s.
But were you really joking, Damon, or did you?
No, I wasn't really joking. I wanted to go do it. But I was kind of joking, because I was like, are they really going to believe me? They said, sure, go ahead and do it. So I literally built, it was a cornfield, and we
called your bluff.
I called my bluff. And so then I started my travel career for a while, and we built that plant and ran that for 5 years. We had a little bit of seed business, but it was a ton of fun. We learned so much with all the people that I brought like a half a dozen people with me, and some of them are still there in the same town, and building the rest of the team. We ended up, I think we had close to 100 people working 24/7 when we left. Yeah.
But I mean, that had to have been a big transition to be like heads down engineer to now shifting gears entirely to stepping into a leadership role and really having to manage people and all that goes into people management. Was that transition, like, was it a natural transition for you to step, like, had you been building up to that, or what was that like for you to kind of step from more of like a hard skill position into like trying to learn more soft skills and managing people? Did you like that more?
I sucked at it in the beginning. I did. I know, because I was, at heart, I was a technical guy. I was used to being like, okay, this is what we got to do. Let's go do it. And then, you run into a few real bangers, and you figure out that, okay, we got to get people's buy-in and all this stuff. They don't just get it like you would in the technical part of it. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And I don't say always, but I did develop a knack to build team members, give them responsibility, and do that from early age. I was like encouraging people, let them go, let them make mistakes. Don't worry about it. If we make some mistakes, we're going to do that. And because I had made tons in life, tons in business, and that was fun, because we really, a lot of us grew up together in there, and it was a good time.
Damon, was Grandpa Charlie kind of like in your ear? Was Dad, like other mentors? Like, how did you develop like your leadership skills and ability? Like, kind of thrown right into the fire, right? Like, how did you develop that leadership ability?
The owner of the business, Don Bender, super nice guy. And his sons, at this point, his sons, Jay and Guy, were already taking over the business to a certain extent. But Don had always stayed in touch with me. And really, he was my business mentor. Because I remember I started working there in college, like my 3rd year of college. And I was in college for almost 5 years. So it was a while. I was working part-time. And he would take the time to explain business to me. Yeah. And this is a guy that's got a $15 million business, and I'm some punk kid going to school for engineering. I had all these ideas of, we should do this, we should do that. But he always did. He always took the time to explain things to me and really help when I needed help. And he instilled that in his sons, and they were pretty good at that too. And that's who really started off, though.
That's so cool. One of the first jobs I took out of college, I had a mentor like that. and she very much was very open about business and all of that. And I can't believe how much I learned from her. And I think, it's so important for anybody in a leadership position to make sure you're taking the time to do that, to teach and to coach the people underneath you. And I'm sure, like, as in your business, that's what you're trying to teach people all the time is what's your succession plan? How can you like build a, coaching and training and everything? That's so cool.
Well, I learned too that, in those earlier years, I learned that it's not necessarily the big shiny piece of equipment that you really need. You need to utilize everything you have first. And if you're utilizing that to the maximum extent, people, equipment, everything, then you can look at what else do I need? But it's not the shiny tools that are going to make the difference.
Perfect.
It's not the shiny tools.
Drop the mic, Nicole. How about that one, huh? It's not the shiny tools.
I learned that the hard way, though.
So, Damon, so let's go here. So great opportunity, living large in Tennessee, great growing state, southern state. Seattle comes knocking on your door.
Yep.
Dude, like, how on earth do you go from South Dakota, Tennessee, now you're going to the great Northwest? Walk us through that transition.
Yeah, I was working for a family business there at the molding company, and I was at the highest level I could be, and I was going, okay, I want to someday run companies. That's what I wanted to do, and I'd been at this for 4 or 5 years, and I was like, okay, what else? And I don't know. It's like all of a sudden a recruiter called me. Next thing you know, I'm interviewing and I'm on my way to Seattle, and there's in the town next to us in Tennessee that had a plant that needed to have somebody run it. And I got a job at running that plant, which is a bit bigger and a bit more money and as far as revenue through the plant and stuff. And super horrible neighborhood. I was one of these, super horrible neighborhood. I remember I drove to the place the first time, just checking it out. And I'm like, holy heck, am I going to get, if I'm going to get carjacked here or something? And, but yeah, so I went there and that's where we were making checkout counters for grocery stores.
Yeah.
So if you've been in a grocery store and had stuff, I don't care which one it is on the East Coast or West Coast or in the middle, you probably, one of those probably came out of that company.
What was your favorite part about managing the manufacturing process? Like, what did you just love about it? What is it that just kind of like lit you up when you'd go to work every day?
Making stuff.
Yeah.
Making stuff. Holy heck. Curt's seen me. If you get in there, you make something, I would, it doesn't matter if it's made out of metal or plastic or whatever, but you see something that's put together and really cool and just run your hand down the side of it and it doesn't matter. It's the coolest stuff ever. When you go, that was 2 days ago, that was a pile of wood, or that was a pile of steel, or that was plastic pellets. And now look what it came out. It's going inside of a, whatever. It's, I've been so lucky in all the different things I've been able to do. I still walk around. I know I nerd out Curt all the time. Yeah, I helped those guys design that.
Yeah.
Look at an Amerex fire extinguisher. I was the one that helped the strap around the outside. I remember when we designed it with them and built the molds and started making them.
Cool.
And for 3M, a lot of stuff that doctors use still today to sterilize your body before they cut you open. Yeah. It was a ton of fun in those businesses.
Very cool.
So Damon, let's go here. So now you land in Seattle, you settle roots, you have a family, and so let's go through and because I want to save time. I want to get to your superpower, very modest, very humble guy, but you are the exit your way. You're the exit strategy guy, succession planning, very passionate about helping folks go through that transition, go through that process. And one thing that you and I just spent a great week in Alaska together. We did a couple workshops.
Yeah, lots of fun. And
you and I had a little epiphany of every single entrepreneur at some point in time, whether they like it or not, under their own circumstances or not, are going to leave their business.
Yep. We all get to leave.
And that was an aha for, death, taxes. If you're an entrepreneur, you are exiting your business one way or another. We'll get into that in a minute. But as you come into Seattle and you're working in manufacturing, you did a little private equity, did a couple of like anything that you want to share for that transition until you hooked up with Andrew and kind of got going with the business you have. But let's touch that private equity.
I mean, those guys that own that business are the first time I ever worked with investor-owned businesses, and subsequently I worked for several more beyond that. But I learned so much about finance, and I knew a little bit of operational finance before that, but I really got to know, and I got in it. And then I was also in those companies from then on, and all the other companies. I was a guy that had to do the board presentations every month, and I went from I had never done that to having to do it every month, and that was quite a thing.
You
and I never.
Doing it?
Oh yeah. Once you got, I mean it's the hot seat when things aren't going well.
I
was in turnaround situations a few times, and when it's things aren't going right.
How'd you handle it?
Yeah.
I mean, the turnaround situations or
the hot seat, like
being in the hot seat.
It's the biggest thing that people need to know when you're in the hot seat is don't overpromise. You always underpromise. You always underpromise a little bit, and you always beat it. You always beat it a little bit. Even if you go, okay, our sales are going to be 2 million or whatever it is, and they want it to be 2.5. You say, nope, sales are going to be 2 million. This is why. If they're 2.5, that's a great day. Everybody's happy. If it's 1.9, everybody's upset, right?
So smart.
Take a little heat in the beginning, and you'll be a hero in the end, right?
Take a little heat in the beginning, you'll be a hero in the end. That's real.
It's so it's where when people ask me about why are you such a crazy guy about getting these weekly dashboards and knowing how much our gross margin in each week and do that, I said, because I used to go in those board meetings, and after about 2, when you go and the financials come out and it's different than you thought they should be based on what you're watching out there. Before I had we build out the dashboard and stuff. When you get to the end of the month with investors and it doesn't turn out like you thought it was going to, you can lose your job, right? So you only have about 2 or 3 months like that in an investor-owned company before you're out the door. And that's where I learned all this stuff. And that's why I'm I just promote it so much, because it gives you so much clarity in the way you run your business. Right. And that's what we did. And then on the other side of that too, when you want to grow your business, there's nothing better than understanding, did I sell enough today? Did I sell enough this week? And then I generated the profit. That's the way it is.
So good.
Yeah. Fun stuff. But that's what I learned it. Even in the very worst situations. I mean, people started calling me, the investors that I work with called me subsequently to have me come in. Oh, we got a bad one. You want to come and look at it? And I was like, okay, I'm like a dummy. And, so but that same process works. It works. Works.
So I have a couple follow-up questions for you. Do you serve on a lot of boards now?
No.
Do you like to? No, do you not? Do you do that by choice? You don't want to, or?
No, I haven't pursued it. I've been on a few in the last year, or in the last couple of years, but I just haven't found the right fit other than the ones I'm already on.
Yeah. I have another question. Okay. So typically a lot of the engineers I've worked with, they tend to be like, there's like this great divide. Okay. If you're really good at engineering, it's really hard for you to be good at like sales and marketing, from my experience. The people I've seen, they just don't really get it. So how, or maybe that's my misunderstanding. Maybe they do get it. They just don't. No. So as an engineer, how do you bridge that? How were you able to bridge that gap and really understand why sales and marketing is so critical, how to do it right? Right. Like, that's my first question. And then how would you recommend to other engineers like that they understand that? Because I'm telling you, there's like this wall, and it is a painful wall.
Yeah. Being exact is kind of painful for me. And I think that helped me with leadership and everything outside of engineering. I mean, I can do it, but it's not what I really want to do. I want to create to create something that nobody else has. Yes, that turns into whatever it turns into, but I want, and that's how I was able to do that in my career with, I think it helped me a lot in leadership, and it still helps me a lot in leadership because I can visualize and work things through to a point that I've thought through some of it, at least so it's not quite as harebrained as people would first think, but it still has a lot of development to do. And where you see engineers, they want to get down to the finite details. I don't need to. I just get to the, I'm 75% in that this is going to be a pretty good idea and we're going and we'll figure it out. And Curt knows this. I'll say, good idea. Let's do it. And that helps a lot when you're leading people and you've got a good team around you. You build a good team around you and you go, what do you guys think? And if you're the leader and willing to do that, you're going to take your team so much farther, so much faster.
Love it.
You got to fail. You got to fail. And you just go, okay, are we reasonably, like engineers want to be 100%. They want to build in safety factors and all that. I lost my safety factors decades ago. And you just got to go. You got to make a good decision and get going.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to get on the field, right? You just got to
get on the field and go.
We can only run this play or practice so many times. We got to get on the field and, somebody's going to throw a flag. We might make a mistake, make a call, there's a foul, right? And I know it's very cliche, like, oh, you have to fail. But just really like, what does that mean? What do you mean by fail? Really digging into it. Like, Nicole, man, just how many mistakes this year alone, right? By the past week, right? Right, Damon?
I tanked in companies before. I mean, I got fired before. I tanked in companies.
Right.
You can't be successful all the time.
So
I've had some bad situations where I was like, oh, what the, what the heck?
Yeah.
And you just go ahead, Nicole.
Question for you: when you've tanked, what was it that you did after you tanked that pulled you out of it?
Good question.
The first time I didn't do it well. I will say that.
What happened? Tell us.
But now,
I want to know what you didn't do well.
It took me a very long time. I lost confidence in myself for a long time, and it took me a while. It took me a while because I had never been in the situation I was in, and it just kept coming and kept coming. And I was like, this is tough. This is tough.
Do you have any, looking back, can you pinpoint something that pulled you out and do you have any advice for somebody that's been in that situation? So what pulled you, what turned it around for you?
I just look back and I think I was finally sick of being that way. I was sick of being that way. I got sick of being that way. I said, you know what? I can sit here and wallow in this and I can say, oh, always this or that. I don't know if I read something but I just got sick of it. I said, you know what? I'm going to move. And get going. And then now it's like, something like that now it would suck, but it would, it's not the end of it's not going to cause a lot of challenge.
So, hey, look, I'm going to drop a few. Hey, we've got Michelle dropping, accidental learning. I believe you develop talent, Damon. And then, hey, Tomei, am I saying that correctly? I keep saying that over promising, under delivering is a tough position to be in. If you can't, we'll come down here. Let's see. Good things, time to build. So does trust. And Mike is here. Happy.
Mike Panaki. Mike, what's going on, man? Mike has got the baddest television studio in the world in his office. I'm not kidding you, dude. Mike has got it.
Mike, we got to come party at Mike's house.
Oh, I'm not kidding. He's got like remote camera. Oh, it's awesome.
Well, that's Mike, awesome. Thanks for everybody. Thank you for joining us. Thanks. Drop us a note. Give a little love to Damon because Damon is on the hot seat today. So usually you guys are coming here and you're used to Damon interviewing amazing, incredible guests week in, week out here Tuesdays at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. But we have flipped the script on our dear friend Damon. So Damon, let's go here for a minute. Talk about when you started the company with Andrew. Like what was the inspiration? Let's go there.
I wanted to start a company like Exit Your Way from the very first time I was in Seattle and we sold the business.
Oh.
And we did it lots of times back and forth, other transactions after that. But that first transaction was the first time that I was able to come in, build it up, get the team, get everything. And I was part of the team that sold it. And it was an awesome experience. And I said, I want to do this. Nice. I want to do this. I want to do this for people. And I already knew I didn't want to do it necessarily being in the business anymore, but I wanted to do it.
Yeah, I think so I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur, and I got to tell you, like, there's such a need for what you offer. There's so many businesses that just have no clue. They're not thinking about it. There's all this family drama situation. People die unexpectedly, and there's just such a need for what you're offering to be able to not just sell the business, but help position it to be successful. So I love what you're doing. It's super cool. Super cool.
And you also, so let's dig into Exit Your Way, Damon. And what I love, you kind of have it's your mission, it's your war cry. That's like a social element, if I'm saying that correctly, of like you're really kind of embracing and nurturing, as you're describing, Nicole, those entrepreneurs. And as we just said, whether as every single entrepreneur on the planet at some point in time, you are going to exit your business, whether you like it or not, whether you want to or not, or whether you do it on your own terms or not. Damon, talk a little bit about like, what was your inspiration behind Exit Your Way and really kind of helping what were you seeing on the streets where you're like, man, these people need help, not just a broker. Like there's brokers in zero disrespect to broker because they do amazing work, but you take it to a different strategy from just like a traditional broker. Let's go there.
Yeah. When I started working with Andrew Cross, my current partner, in 2015, I've been around buying and selling businesses, right? But when you talk about investor-owned businesses, it's usually like me selling a business to Curt because we both have these different kinds of businesses, and they're in the investment world. They move around like people move cards around, like Monopoly, street, whatever it is. When you buy the little properties in Monopoly, they move it around like that, and the businesses they have are usually set up a certain way so they can do that, right? And to get into that class is a hard thing. And I learned that in the first business that moved me to Seattle, because that's what those guys were doing. We were building it up to sell it into the market, just like we do now. But I'd never really been at the broker level where you're going in and you're going, hey, we're going to sell your business for you. You're ready to sell. We're going to do it. And I didn't at that time understand how woefully underprepared most businesses are.
Yeah.
Woefully.
Oh, it's not even close to that's being nice. That's being nice, right?
Well, isn't it something like 95% of businesses don't sell? Isn't it something like that?
It's crazy like that. Yeah. You read all over. Some people say 70, 80, 90. It doesn't really, it's enough so that
it's enough that you have, that's the reason why you have a job. Thank goodness you definitely got product market fit, Damon.
Yeah. Well, you think about it. I did this. It's about the same odds as launching a startup and it lasting 10 years.
Wow. So here's my question for you. That's crazy to put it in that perspective.
Yeah.
For someone like me who is new, okay, my business is less than 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Building, growing. And I'm sure there's a lot of business owners listening, same situation. What would you advise for someone who's because frankly, to be honest, when you're just starting a business, you're just like trying to get it off the ground. You're not you're not really thinking about what am I going to do 10, 20 years ago? You're thinking about how am I going to make this work this year?
So today.
Yeah, exactly.
How am I going to cover payroll on Thursday?
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly.
And so I think, man, it takes a special skill to be able to do both, to be able to look short term and also be able to think long range like that. So what would you advise for someone? Because, clearly you've got that long range. That's what your business is all about. Like, got to think long range. How can we do this?
Yeah.
What would you advise to someone like me or someone who's new, who's in the thick of it? And like Curt said, who's really literally just trying to make it day to day, just trying to make payroll. What are some steps that we can be taking now to set ourselves up for success so we don't turn into that majority statistic. Because I don't want to be that. Man, when the day comes, I want to be able to sell this thing and I want it to be valuable, you know?
There you go. And you'll be able to if you do the right things. And I think the first thing is envisioning where you want to go, because it is perfectly okay to say, I want to run a business, I want to make a few bucks, and I'm going to close it down when I'm done.
Yeah.
But know that going in, because if that business is going to generate the wealth you need after that, then you got to make sure that your business is making enough and you're putting money someplace else. You're not going to have a terminal value for it. Just make sure. But if that's what you want to do, do it. If you want to build it and you're going to sell it to somebody else, well, what do you want them to be able to buy that's going to be of value? What do you want your legacy to be? Know that now, even if it seems kind of crazy, because you got to start working on it today, because you don't get a multi-million-dollar business without, it's going to take some work, and you're going to get kicked in the teeth a few times and have to get back up.
Darn.
And
I'm going to lose these pearly whites. That's going to happen.
You probably, you'll put a mouth guard in. You'll feel it coming.
You got, what was the quote? Remember the gentleman in Alaska that we interviewed? The dog tree. What do you remember his quote? What is entrepreneurship? Do you remember it? A knife fight in a ditch.
Yeah, it's a knife fight in a ditch. It is. It really is. It's a knife fight in a ditch.
God bless him. He's an army. He's an Iraq hero.
Awesome,
was injured in the Iraq war, and he described entrepreneur on our show. He interviewed. He said entrepreneurship is a knife fight in a ditch. I thought that was brilliant. Damon, let's go here for a minute. We had a dear friend of ours, mutual friend, and she wrote a book, Elaine Pofeld. She was on, I guess, on our show, and she wrote a book called Tiny Business, Big Money. Tiny Business, Big Money. Yep. And boy, dude, both you and I were in that book. How cool was that? We were both in that book, and one was your client, Kelly. If you don't mind me sharing that. And again, I know you're very humble, but this has been a rock star success. And what I love about this, Nicole, is you have an entrepreneur, second generation, took over his dad's business. It was office supply business, very traditional, selling commodities, just there's a dime a dozen, you're competing against Staples and Office Max and, all the major brick and mortar, let alone Walmart, everybody else. Right. And Damon, just kind of walk us through the humility that Kelly had to show to raise his hand and say, I need help. And how you brought this expertise into this business, and what a wonderful success story. Can you just share a little bit of that experience working with Kelly?
It's been a real blessing to be able to work with him and watch him develop, and it just helped to be an idea generator once in a while, a place to bounce things off of, and then really to watch what you can do if you really will take the time to invest in knowledge, learning what you're going to do, and then execution, because his business is not an easy business at all. But it's one of those things where you go from, are we going to, is it going to work, until you go, now it's working. And then you go, now it's working better. And you go, now, hey, we're kind of getting good. And then you go, boom, you get that, you're in that knife fight, right? And then you got to come back a little bit. But it's really been something to watch that and watch him grow and watch the way that goes, because you really understand e-commerce is such coming out of manufacturing, you always felt and saw things. And the thing that I really enjoy about working with e-commerce, the electronic nature makes you have to be so much more in tune with the data and the information that's running behind it, because it can go to heck in a matter of a few minutes if you don't know what's going on. I mean, literally had times where, if I do not recommend this ever even testing this, right? But if you're sitting here and you're managing, I mean, with his company now, he's managing, I don't know, it just went up a bunch, but I think it's close to 750,000 SKUs we're managing on It's like 6 different platforms. Yeah. And with, I think we're up to 10 suppliers now. So you know, you're doing all this and data's moving and orders are moving. And if you get, if a data point uploads wrong from someplace to somehow, so say my $10 item is now $5, you would not believe, not believe how much demand there is on Amazon or a place like that when you have a price that's way too low. And it's just like the orders kick, you know, it's that fast. So it's an amazing thing because you have to be on your toes. And I think I was telling you about it, Curt. It's a 24/7 job when you're doing e-commerce. And I think, and I was telling Curt about this. We used to always, when we were farming, we used to say, man, you don't want to be a dairy farmer because you got to milk cows morning and night, 7 days a week. And I think e-commerce is worse.
Oh my gosh. So that's my question to you. You mentioned that he has, this is a hard business. Would you say across the, like, what would you, if you were to say, like, what are the easiest businesses from what you've seen to run and manage versus some of the hardest businesses? What would you do? Can you categorize it like that, or it's just too complicated? No,
everyone's got its challenges.
Yeah. I was hoping you'd give me the golden ticket to the easy.
Yeah, you're looking for the easy button.
No, there's no easy button.
No easy button. Damon, how about this? So Nicole, we had the blessing of visiting entrepreneurs last week, and you know, a couple, all of them just hugely successful. Yeah. Damon, you came on the lives, and Damon, we visited a bunch of entrepreneurs in Alaska. Do you see a common thread with folks that, like, you know, you have the entrepreneur that can, you know, I always said, like, you know, they're doing great. They, you know, you kind of bought yourself a job, but you know what? It's your job, and you're not, you know, you do your own thing. Then you have like the next level entrepreneur, then the next level on. Like, do you see a common thread or a trait of like the next level entrepreneur that really can take it to you know, to hit their dreams, hit those goals?
Yeah, you have to be able to duplicate resources. I mean, you have to understand where your next step are and duplicate resources, right? Because in the beginning, you're the brains, you're the execution, you're everything. Okay, what's next after that? Because when I get to a certain point, I have to backfill, and I have to keep moving forward, and I have to backfill, so I got more resources. That is the key in growing a business. I don't care what you're doing, to go from whatever to whatever. Now that changes and gets more complex as you go, because usually a founder-led business will get to a certain point, and they're like, they just can't do it. And because that takes a structural change in the business, where we go, Damon can't manage the 6 to 10 people that are running the business anymore. We have to establish a management team and do a bit more in there. And that's where a lot of people stop. But that from that initial up to, you know, you can go $10-20 million by just understanding where do we have to add resources next, and to duplicate our resources to be able to do more, and doing it smart on the way.
Nicole, I haven't had dinner yet, but man, that was like a strawberry rhubarb pie right there.
Oh, so good. You know, my dad used to say the same thing, but he built a 8-figure business. And I remember, I'll never forget him saying to me, the best thing I ever did was when I learned to replicate myself.
Yep.
And he said that over and over again. He's like, there's no way my business would have grown if I hadn't have replicated myself. And so I think that's great advice.
And they don't have to be as good as you. They get 75-80% as good as you. That's just fine. And just know where's the next step to do that all the time.
What do you think about this like solopreneur trend happening, where these people are like building these solopreneur businesses, and they're like, you know, the tiny business, Elaine Poffold, you know, what's your vibe on that? Because that seems to be really, really like trendy right now. It's really popular. Everybody wants to be a solopreneur and have a highly profitable business. What's your vibe on that?
Still going to be a knife fight. Choose your battle. Choose your battle. I mean, nobody's going to have it easy. I don't care who you go, who your coach is. I don't care who you're following. I don't care who. It's going to be a knife fight. I'm glad you brought that up, Curt, because he said it the best. Yeah, it really is. But you got to want it. You got to want it more than other people, because there's going to be, you talk about work-life balance. Yes. Don't put your health at risk. Don't put your family at risk in those kind of things. But every other second outside of that, you're going to have to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be a little pendulum swift coming the other direction. But anyway,
Yeah.
All right.
Funny stuff.
So Damon, let's go here. So we did a super fun workshop, and
yes,
you in a whole new light, man. Like you absolutely crushed it. We got into pricing, you got into exit strategy, So I want to go there for a minute. When you're working with somebody reaches out to you, walk us through like first steps of as a matter of fact, when you man, we had an awesome place that we had in Alaska. Man, was that a great place or what? Oh my God, Nicole, it was so perfect.
Yeah.
Right across the street from this major park, like
God.
it was like light until midnight, and so like Damon and I are out there
walking
like
on trails.
Remember, we stumbled on a rugby match at like 10 at night. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Damon's like, hey, Curt, hey, this guy can play. Get out there. And I'm like, dude, they break me like a pretzel, So, all right, back to the workshop. I digress. My apologies. So when folks reach out to you, what's kind of the first step? I heard a couple calls that you were on of like that first step, and I was like a sponge listening. Walk us through that first step. Hey, Damon, I'm entrepreneur, Mr. and Mrs. Entrepreneur. We're starting to think about it. Like, what's your process? What are some of the questions that you start out with?
Yeah, it really starts with what do you want to achieve? What are you trying to do? What's next for you? Do you have any idea what that really means in terms of your, do you want to get out of your business and do whatever? Do you want to, what do you want to do? Why are you doing this?
Right.
Really get to understand where they're at. Because a lot of people call us that are frustrated. It's like, I don't want to be in my business anymore. And I'm going to tell you, that's the wrong reason to leave your business, because you won't work. But it's really about what's next. Why are you doing this?
Right.
Why are you doing this? And then you go down to, let's talk about your business a little bit. If you really want to not get rid of, but you want to sell your business, right?
Yep.
Exit your business. Have you thought about it? Have you prepared it all? Do you really know what it's worth? Have you even got any idea? Yeah. And it's really trying to understand where they're at, and then start to give them information and go, well, if your business is making about this much, you can tell somebody about what it's going to be. You can do more detail later, but you really got to start there and see if they are informed enough, because it's all about just educating people at the beginning. There's so much because it's not like selling a house, right? You can't just go put it up and everybody knows. There's a lot of stuff that has to happen. Even houses now, everybody stages their house, right? Everybody stages it. They go, God, it all looks better than when you live in it, right? It's you got to do the same thing with a business, or it's just not going to sell anymore. But it's figuring out where they're at. What are they trying to do
now? And if I have this correct, you gave me some like the best time to sell your business. Didn't we talk about this in Alaska? Like, what's the best time to think about selling your business, or what's the best time to like really start taking that action?
When you love it the most.
When you love it the most, Nicole.
It's the time to sell, because if you love it, the next person's going to love it. Everybody's going to feel it. They're going to want it. They're going to want it. When you're jamming so hard and you're like, this is awesome, sell your business, because the next person is going to feel that awesomeness, and they're going to be able to take it and keep going with it.
That's really brilliant. Oh, but here's the thing, Damon. Here's the thing. Okay, I know you hear this cliche. You hear this cliche all the time. Like, your business is your baby, And I gotta say, like, from my experience, there is there's an emotional attachment. Like, you're building something. Like, you are putting your whole heart and soul into it. Like, that, I think, is when you're at the point where you're loving it the most, to to know and to walk away, what a hard choice that is. Like, sheesh. That's got to be tough for those folks in that position. So what do you say to people when they're like, my business is my baby? What do you tell them? Then
you shouldn't sell it. You're not ready.
You're not ready.
I mean, hey, there's a lot of people that shouldn't sell their business. They shouldn't sell it, but prepare, because your family's going to get to deal with it then, or somebody else. But, that's one of the key things. What are you going to do next? because really
interesting.
you look at our lives, whether we like it or not, our lives are, we're ever changing, right? And we're going to end our work, whether we wait until Deming, like they're just about dead, or we get out early. It's really, I mean, you look at this, right? You look at Harrison Ford now, he's 80 in the news, and he's talking about, hey, I don't want to quit acting. Well, cool. If he wants to keep doing whatever, that's great.
AI, he can live on forever, right?
Yeah.
Bless him.
But it's really, you gotta think about what's next, because that what's next for you should be pulling you towards it rather than your business keeping you there.
Yeah.
And the people that I see that are really interested about exiting their business, I mean, our clients are usually in their 40s or 50s. Why is that? Because they want to generate wealth and they want to go do something else. Whatever it is.
Phase 2.
Yeah. The next phase could be philanthropic. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of people do. They start different businesses or hobby businesses.
Right.
I mean, what the heck was it? We sold, and I don't want to name drop too much, but a former executive of one of the major shoe companies in the world, a bicycle shop.
Wow. Yeah.
And Damon, I want to hit a point. You and I had the blessing and gift of interviewing Kerry Smith. Kerry Smith was the founder, technically not even the founder.
No,
he was the CEO of Big Ass Fans. Excuse my language, but he was. He built this company. He what a great story, man. Go back and catch that episode. What the guy writes for Inc. magazine, brilliant entrepreneur. He walked into like this little garage and he saw this giant fan, and he said angels were singing, trumpets were playing. He'd been a struggling, failed entrepreneur, right? Saw these big giant fans, bought the company, built and sold it for $500 million. Sold it for $500 million. That's a lot of zeros. $500 million. And Damon, do you remember what he shared when he was interviewed, when he talked about selling his company? And boy, it was your baby. Wasn't it your baby? He said, you know what? It was not my baby. It was like my pack of gum. And when I was done with that pack of gum, I sold you my pack of gum. And it was now your pack of gum. I'm like, I'm telling you.
Yeah, he was stone cold about it.
He was stone, and I'm telling you firsthand. So I was fortunate enough to sold a business, and if I could have had that, remove the emotion from it, boy, I'm telling you, you're going to be so much better off. So, yeah. Anyway, I wanted to just share that real quick. Yeah. David, I don't dude. How long do you go? Do you go to the top of the hour?
This is about it for us.
Okay, so let Nicole rapid fire. Do you have any rapid
fire? We're doing it. Okay, rapid fire. We're doing a lightning round.
Damon, you ready?
I'm ready.
Does he need a stretch? Okay. Nicole, does he need a stretch?
Oh God, there's a lot of cracking.
Take a deep breath. Damon, take it.
Oh, yeah, ready for this? Okay, if you are a spirit animal, what's your spirit animal?
I heard this question the other day, so I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
I would have to say I am a flying elephant.
Okay, now you got to explain that one. A flying elephant.
Well, because I don't think I'm an eagle, but I do think that I kind of, elephants to me are always like, yeah, we're here. We're catching it all. That's kind of like,
me. That's true about you.
But then you think about flying.
You're just,
it's like, and if something comes down, they can take care of it if they need to.
Yeah.
I love it. Good answer.
Very nice. Damon, I like it. I've never heard flying elephant. I've heard golden retriever in a China shop. Never heard flying elephant. That's great. Okay. What would be your spy code name?
Oh, God. Spy code name.
How did Ben Baker get that so quick yesterday?
I know. I think he's been asked it before. Yeah. If you were a spy, what would your code name be?
Oh.
Zen Master.
The Cleaver. I don't know.
The Cleaver.
Would you say?
The Cleaver?
The Cleaver.
The Cleaver.
Like the big chopping knife.
That's true. You do that on your show a lot. That's like kind of like your MO. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. If you had to guess, what's one thing people would say they most appreciate about you?
I'm pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty that and persistent.
Yeah, I can see both of those things in you. All right. What do you think? Would you second that, Curt? Because you guys are
he's great listener, just great friend, loyal to like, boy, you know, I'm a huge dog fanatic. He is loyal, like your best, like he's man's best friend. So he's just, I'll tell you, such a blessing to me. I could go on and on. We'd be here all night. So Damon, thank you for just being an awesome dude, awesome friend. And it's great. So I agree with all of the above.
Oh man. Okay. I got a few more.
Okay.
What is your favorite book?
My favorite book, I would have to say, God, there's so many. But, you know, I really think that the one that was interesting for me in the last couple of years was Dr. Wayne Dyer, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. It's just an interesting book to read, and it talks about the Tao, if I'm saying it right, the Chinese teachings. It's a real thought-provoking book. But I'm a book junkie, so I've got a bunch of too.
I'm a huge Wayne Dyer follower, and Damon, we talk about the words, radical humility.
Yeah,
that came from Wayne Dyer. We talk about like radical gratitude. Like that was his boy. If you're not familiar with Wayne Dyer out there, boy, like he's from the 70s and 80s. He's like the old, Zen. He's the original Zen master. Nicole.
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
Check out.
I don't know. Damon will always be the Zen master to me. There's no one else in my mind that could ever replace Damon, the Zen master.
Yeah. Don't look back in time.
That's the thing. But see, that's what makes you a great Zen master, in my opinion, because you have mastered it with massive discipline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah, take it. That's all I got for my lightning round. I think we should end.
There we go.
Damon, the Zen master.
Hey, we're just going to savor. It's dinner time. We're just savoring. Well, on the East Coast, we're just savoring a little Aunt Barb pie, man. That's all.
Thank you guys for coming in today. We didn't plan this until last weekend. We had a guest cancel, and it was, and you suggested this. I reluctantly said yes, but it's been fun. It's been fun. I mean,
you didn't throw too many curveballs your way, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's not like I had to
good stuff.
Stuff, but thank you so much.
Hey, so everybody out there, welcome, you're welcome. You're welcome for giving you a little gift of Damon Pistulka. Damon, thank you, dude. Thank you for being such a go-giver. All the people that you bring on your show, and just you shine a bright light on everybody. It was just a blessing for Nicole and I to spend a little time, get to know you a little bit better, hear your story and your background, your superpowers. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Love you. Thank you. Dude, don't know where I'd be without you. Thank you, man.
Thank you guys so much.
You're the best.
We'll end it now. Thanks everyone for listening.
See ya.